What is up, movie fans? In this video, I'll be ranking all of the Pixar movies with the new release of Inside Out 2 just coming out. So yeah, let's get right into this. So I am not going to go in this obscenely random order that this tier list is in. I'm going to go in order of my notes. So I'm going to just go from worst to best, but I'm going to use the tier list format because I love tier list formats. And I'm going to rank them in the tiers, but I do just like saying like, yeah, these are the same level of good. Yeah, so I'm going to add a couple tiers and explain what each of them mean right now. So in the bottom tier is going to be what I call the unreal tier. These are movies that there's not going to be many of them for Pixar, if not any. But the unreal tier is just so bad. Like, I can't stand this movie. So that's going to be that. Then we're going to have a good old F tier as always. F tier. F tier, it's not that I absolutely hate it. Unreal ones are like, yeah, I don't think I could ever sit through watching that. But the F tier is just going to be like, yeah, this movie has a ton of issues, but it's not exactly like the worst movie ever. Also, it's the 4th of July, so if you hear fireworks in the background, happy 4th of July, happy America Day, all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, and then the E tier, typically the E tier for me are more of movies that I just don't jive with. Like, they might not even be that bad. I want to make it a weird pink color because typically those are just ones that I'm not like a big fan of, even though I'm not necessarily saying the E tier is the funky tier where it's like, yeah, it's kind of my problem that I don't like this movie, but I still don't like it. And then we're going to add a row. We're going to add some other rows up here. So the S tier, yeah, that's just the great, these are just going to be normal. S tier is just a fantastic movie. S plus tier is like, yeah, this is pretty much a perfect movie. And I have almost no complaints about it. So yeah, that'll be the S plus tier. And then the real tier is going to be, it means it is one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolute masterpiece. Anyway, let's get right into this. So what is my least favorite Pixar movie? Yeah, it's going to be The Good Dinosaur by quite a margin. I think this is just a straight up not great movie. Yeah, it's a cute movie. It's got good animation, but there's not really any soul, no identity that screams that typical Pixar genius. I can hardly blame the film too much because of the production hell it went through, but development hell. But like, it isn't very good. It's about a sentient dinosaur with a pet human wanting to return home after being lost, which is originally absolutely not what the premise of the film was, and it just feels like a super early DreamWorks film or an Illumination movie that forgot to actually be funny. It's beautifully animated, but it just doesn't feel like Pixar. It just feels like, yeah, this could be an all right movie from a different studio, but not Pixar. This is the type of movie 6-year-old me would have found amusing after I came up with it in the shower and scribbled the plot out on a piece of toilet paper. Like, that's what this type of movie is to me. Like, it gives the energy of taking the derivative of a constant. There's just nothing to it, but it's the derivative of a constant, but framed as if it had the handwriting of that one girl in your 5th grade class. It was just too good to be true. So, yeah, it just lacks that Pixar charisma and has a lot of emotional reductiveness. It just feels too much like a kid's movie. It's not really a competent movie on any level. And, yeah, it just lacks the Pixar charm. But I don't blame it too much because, frankly, the development was pretty, all right, next is going to have to be Brave. I know a lot of people love this movie, but even though my favorite thing about this movie is that Merida has red hair, go Gingers. I'm also a ginger, so that's fun. But other than that, yeah, that's probably the best part about this movie. Like, I think this is basically the Brother Bear of Pixar, but honestly, I like Brother Bear better than this movie. That might be a hot take, but it just is one of my least favorite Pixar movies. I do think that Merida is not the worst Disney princess. At least she has some like memorable qualities to her. It has good animation. But really, the best thing that this game ever did was spawn a obscure Leapster game that I used to play as a kid. That was one of the best parts about this movie. And yeah, I like the redheads. That's fine. I like that we get a redheaded protagonist because, you know what, that's slightly more rare than a lot of other things. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Brave. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it's a memorable movie. I can barely remember what happens in even though I've watched it a few times. So yeah. All right, next we have starting with the E tier stuff. So E tier, like I said, I don't really think these movies are downright bad, but I dislike like D tier are like, yeah, they're not the greatest films. E tier might actually be like, I see that it's objectively better than D tier, but it's that funky place where I'm like, yeah, I'm just not a big fan. And that first one is going to be Monsters University. I I don't think this film is as bad as a lot of people say. Just my problem is I don't really care for Monsters Inc. in the first place. So Monsters University feeling like a equal to a movie I don't like that much in the first place. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. So, yeah, this E tier is just stuff that I'm not a big fan of. It's just a somewhat inaccurate prequel to the original. It's not offensive, but it's not too special in any way. And as a prequel to a movie I already didn't care too much for, that contradicted the original in some ways and was derivative of the original. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like, I can even see why people like this film. I can see why people even prefer it over the original Monsters Inc. Like, if you like this movie, kudos to you. Hats off to you. I'm glad you like it. Do I like it? No, I really just don't like it. And, you know, another movie that I just don't really like, as I was just saying, is Monsters Universe. I'm sorry, Monsters Inc. Yes, I know this is going to be an extremely flaming hot take, but I swear I do think this is a good movie. I just don't like it. It's one of those things that I heavily respect. I feel like it is a good movie. I feel pretty apologetic about saying that it's bad, but I'm not a big fan of this movie. I've never found the premise to be my type of thing. Yes, it's a very cool premise. It's a very interesting one. It's my mom's second favorite, so I respect it. I like it, but yeah, I feel like I've just heard too much about Monsters Inc. One of my little cousins is obsessed with it for a while. That's all he would talk to me about. So, you know, that's probably part of it, but I don't know, but I will say the bromance is fantastic. The villains, Randall and the spider dude, sorry, I forgot his name. They're both very good, but yeah, I just don't love this movie. Now, anyone who says this is an S tier movie, I'm not going to say they're wrong. I'm just going to say, yeah, I don't agree with you. But if you absolutely adore this film, I get it. Again, the E tier stuff, these aren't bad. Like, in another tier list, I would probably consider this a B and this an S. But like more objectively, but Jesus, fireworks are popping off. But yeah, I just don't really like these movies. So yeah, that is the thing. Oh my gosh, that sounds like machine gun fire. What the frick? Okay, anyway, yeah, let's move on to the next movie. So now we're gonna move into some of the D tier movies, just things that I don't think are that great. And that first one is gonna be A Bug's Life. I know some people like this. Again, my mom loves this movie, but I just don't find it that memorable, and I don't really like bugs in general, so that might be part of it. But my favorite thing about this movie is that Bugs Land existed, and Heimlich's Choo Choo Train at Disneyland was fantastic. I'm kind of sad it's gone. But other than that, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bugs Life. I've never really been a big fan. I never really felt for the main characters. I feel like the emotional resonance is just not that much here. The villain is a good villain, I will admit. One of the better Pixar villains as a whole, but I just never have resonated with Bugs Life. But I do have more problems with it than Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. I do feel like it is a below average Pixar movie. I just don't think it is that good. I think the premise is all right, but yeah, I just think it kind of is Toy Story, but with bugs. I mean, that's kind of the premise. Like, we're looking into a bug's life, like it says, and I just have not that much of an interest in it, and nor do I think it's that memorable. Where, yeah, I definitely think that Monsters Inc. And Monsters University are more memorable and charming films. This one just isn't that good. Would I rather put on Bugs Life than Monsters Inc.? Yes. But, yeah, I just don't really like Bugs Life that much. And another one that probably will shock absolutely nobody, Finding Dory, D for Dory. I don't really have anything wrong with Finding Dory, but it just feels too similar to the original. Shocking, I know I'm gonna have such a hot take here, but yeah, I think that just because Finding Nemo exists, this just isn't that interesting. There are things that this one does better. I do like some of that fish out of water, pretty quite literal fish out of water sequences that happen in this movie. I do think that this has like more of a villainous presence and stuff, but kind of like Cars 2, and just sometimes like side characters should not lead them. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I actually like Dory better than a lot of people. But yeah, this is not a bad movie. I just, as someone who already isn't too into the original Finding Nemo, I do think it's good, but it's not like my favorite Pixar movie. So yeah, I think this kind of derivative sequel is not really my. So unfortunately, yeah, that's where I'm. Okay, this next one, I probably already pissed off people with Monsters Inc., but I'm going to piss off more people right now and put Toy Story, the original, in the C tier. Now, I love the Toy Story franchise, but when it comes down to it, when I want to put on a Toy Story movie, yeah, I never pick the original. Like, I admire the original a lot. I like Woody and Buzz becoming friends and stuff. It just, it's good. I do enjoy it. It's just um it just doesn't do anything to me that the other sequels. I think that Toy Story 2 has more action, a better cast of characters. 3 has a really emotional finale to Andy's story and a great villain. And really, the original Toy Story doesn't really even have a villain, which is fine. But I think the conflict to me is not that interesting. With Woody being replaced by Buzz, I just find Woody to be pretty unlikable in this movie. And the whole time I was just like, Woody, you're being too dramatic. Like, dude, Buzz is not even like doing anything that bad. So yeah, I just didn't really like Woody in this movie. I did like the introduction of the characters, the world. The animation was great. Like, it's pretty groundbreaking, all that stuff. To me, this is kind of like the ocarina of time of movies for me. It's just like, yeah, it's groundbreaking. Yes, it's awesome, but I feel like it's been innovated on and made better by its sequels. Yeah, I'd rather just watch 2, 3, or 4. Yeah, 2 is just more fun and action packed. 3 is an emotional finale with a better villain. And 4 is a great finale to Woody's story. So yeah, I totally get why people admire this film. I'm super happy it exists because otherwise we wouldn't have Pixar. But yeah, I'd take the sequels any day over this one. I get why people enjoy this movie, but it's not my favorite. Um, yeah, people are going to get so mad at me here, but I'm going to put Lightyear above Toy Story. And here's why. Please don't click off the video because I am going to explain. I think that Lightyear had some good ideas in it, and I do really like some things it did. I really like Socks, first of all. That's I do think it's just a fun movie, and it's a fun. It doesn't feel as derivative as the original Toy Story, if that makes sense. Because to me, I feel like if I want to watch a Toy Story movie, I'll pick 2, 3, or 4. Whereas Lightyear kind of is in its own little niche, and it's really the only like. It's a sci-fi adventure. It's something we haven't really got from Pixar ever since. I mean, it's a new thing. I know Wall-E's more of a dystopian, like post-apocalyptic type of sci-fi. This is just a fun little sci-fi adventure, and it's pretty solid, pretty fresh for the studio. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of other people say. Do I think it's a better film than Toy Story? Absolutely not. But do I like it more? Yes. And that is just because, yeah, in the end, I do think that, yeah, I just would rather Toy Story 2, 3, and 4. I'd rather go watch that any day over the original Toy Story. Whereas Lightyear, yeah, it's in its like own little niche there. Now, does this movie have so many flaws? Absolutely. Like the continuity with the Toy Story franchise, yeah, it makes no sense. Like you can't Zurg like the oh my gosh, that twist was so bad. Like Zurg is his father, but it's his father in the original, and it was just played off as a Star Wars joke. Now all of a sudden he is Zurg from the future, and it just doesn't really make any sense. Like it's so weird, and he kind of just happens upon time travel stuff. Yeah, it's just not. Yeah. I just like that Pixar tried something new. They shot for the stars. They did miss, but I like that we tried something new. But I think the biggest problem with this is definitely the fact that this is supposed to be Andy's favorite movie, the one that inspired all the Buzz Lightyear toys. And yeah, in the end, in real life, this just spawned a bunch of Socks toys. Like this didn't increase the popularity of Buzz Lightyear. If anything, it decreased the popularity of Buzz Lightyear. So yeah, it is pretty generic. There's a lot of plot holes, but I do admire Pixar for trying something new, and I think it did. I did like some of the emotional stuff in this movie. I did like Buzz's best friend. I thought it was a pretty good. She was a pretty good character. Yeah, it's a pretty all right movie. Yeah, I don't think. For me, this is kind of the opposite of the E tier ones. Yeah, I don't think this is a great movie as much as Toy Story might be definitely a better movie, but I just do admire Lightyear, and I actually do see myself rewatching Lightyear. Whereas Toy Story, I'd rather watch the sequels and all these ones below it. Yeah, I just don't ever want to rewatch. So yeah, that's where I stand on Lightyear. If you're still watching the video after me putting Lightyear above Toy Story, thank you for being here. But that means a lot that you stayed. All right. Next, we're gonna have on this list. We're gonna move. Onward is gonna be at the top of C tier for me, and I hate to say it because Onward has a great premise. I love the idea of two brothers going on this journey to get their father back. The emotional scenes at the end are fantastic. The payoff for this film is great, but the rest of it just kind of feels like some bunch of fetch quests, and they're not too interesting. Like, this is like the MMO RPG of Pixar. Like, yeah, there will be some really standout moments, but the rest of it's just kind of eh. And I don't think the movie built up enough fantastic moments to make the payoff feel as earned as it could have been. Sure, the payoff was well done and fantastic, but it wasn't quite the amazing journey that I would have loved to see. Now, I love the lore. I love that we get like these I feel like this could have been so much better. I feel like there's definitely missed potential with Onward. And to me, it's like the middle of Pixar. I feel like, to me, I don't really have any problems with it. I don't have any, like, it's one that I'd probably pick up and rewatch. Throw it on in the background or something. But yeah, it's nothing too special. But at least I just like the premise a lot more than some of these other ones. And again, I will continue to say over and over again, just I'd rather watch any of the Toy Story sequels over the original. So yeah, I do think Onward, to me, Onward is just a perfectly average film. It's just about as average as you can get. And yes, it has peak moments. The end of this movie is amazing, and I won't forget that moment. I really love it. But yeah, the rest of this movie is pretty mediocre. So yeah. All right, next we're moving into the B tier. And yes, I am actually having Cars 2 this high on this list. And yep, that is funny. I know, but Cars 2 is so trash that it's good. Like, this is one of those movies I'll throw on just because how stupidly funny it is. And yeah, I'm not even going to pretend that this is like a good movie. Like, Mater should have never been a main character. We should not have had a political spy thriller in this series. But you know what? I'm happy we got Cars 2. It is the dumbest, most ill-conceived sequel ever that just absolutely is gas. No pun intended. Like, I just think Cars 2 is hilariously fun. And yeah, I don't really have too much to say about Cars 2, except yeah, it's just kind of good. So yeah, it's kind of funny. So yeah, we'll go there with Cars 2. Yeah, I know I'm saying Cars 2 is in the B tier above freaking Toy Story, but you know, and Monsters Inc. and all that. But Cars 2 is just absolute dumb fun. You know, I just have some of those movies that, yeah, I admit that they're utter trash, but they're my trash. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I even like Cars 2 more now than I did as a kid, just because of how goofy it is. Like, if I want to throw on something that just is nonsensically bad, yeah, Cars 2 is the perfect movie for that. So yeah. And yeah, the B tier is going to be dominated by Cars movies. Next on this list is the original Cars. And yes, I think each of the Cars movies do something special. Cars 2, yeah, it's a complex political spy thriller with Mater as the lead for absolutely no reason, thinking that wasabi is pistachio ice cream. But here we just have a good coming-of-age story. Yeah, it meanders a little bit in the middle, but it's a good story. It's a good... he has a good journey of letting his arrogance go and just becoming a better person. And yeah, Is there a lot of issues with Cars? Yeah, if you want to break it down and see all the intricacies of the Cars universe, there's a lot of plot holes and stuff. But you know what? This is just a solid movie. It's the definition of a B tier movie for me. It just is a fun, unapologetically fun movie. And what I like about the Cars universe is, yeah, it's just fun, goofy movies. Like, if Cars 4 ended up being a rom-com where Mater and Lightning McQueen met the love of their lives, I'd still be here for it. If Cars 5 was a detective buddy cop film like Psych, the TV show, where they discover the root of a gasoline pandemic being caused by corporate greed and killing tons of cars in the process, yeah, I'd be here for it. Cars 6, a psychological B-movie horror film where the motley crew of Mater and Lightning McQueen and their lovers found the origin of the Cars in a grotesque PG-13 animated film, yeah, I'd be here for it. The Cars movies are just so silly and goofy, and they can kind of just do whatever the crap they want, and I'll be here for it. Again, do I think Cars is a genuinely, like, great piece of cinema? No, but it is a fun little movie to throw on. I get why some people hate it. I get why some people say it's like their favorite Pixar movie. It is just definitely has that great vibe to it, but yeah, it's not my absolute favorite, but I do enjoy Cars. And yes, I do like it better than the original Toy Story. So yeah, I do think Cars is a good movie. But rounding out the B tier with Cars 3, yeah, I think that the B tier is just for Cars pretty much. And yeah, I think Cars 3 is my personal favorite of the three. Now, is that... do I think that's objectively correct? No, probably not. I think the original Cars is probably just the best. But what I love about Cars 3 is, yeah, Cars 1 is like an animated coming of age film where he's like learning to grow up, be less arrogant, and be more humble. 2, yeah, 2 is all that stuff. And Cars 3 just does a perfect take on the sports movie formula. And what I like about this is just, I feel like there's a lot of like more like coming of age type movies in the Pixar universe with Turning Red and Inside Out and even like, yeah, the Toy Story movies, Luca. Like, there's a lot of movies that kind of fit that bill. Whereas Cars 3, I just like that Pixar went for like a more traditional sports movie. They absolutely aced it here. I loved seeing Lightning McQueen in the mentor role, and yeah, that scene at the end is one of the most emotional scenes in Pixar. I honestly love the part where just the final race is a fantastic sequence. Yeah, Cars 3, is it a masterpiece or anything? Nope, sorry, I dropped my ring on the floor because I am fidgeting with it like an idiot. But yeah, I don't think that Cars 3 is the objective best of these movies. Is it more fun than Cars 2? Absolutely not. But Cars 3, I just felt the most while I was watching it. Like, I felt more emotions than the other ones. And I just think that after Cars 1, this was a perfect place to take it, where Lightning McQueen is a new mentor for it. And yeah, Cars 2 just feels like a stupid spin-off that's just fun to watch. But yeah, Cars 3, I think it's an objectively good movie. And I just enjoyed it more than the original because I just loved seeing Lightning McQueen in this mentor role. So yeah, I'm going to say Cars 3 is at the top of the B tier. Now, moving into the A tier is Finding Nemo. It's not one of my absolute favorite Pixar movies, but I think it's just done really well. It's one of those movies that can resonate with anybody. I get why a lot of people like it. I almost dropped it down in the E tier because it isn't my personal favorite, but I do respect it a lot more than Monsters, Inc., in my opinion. I just think that it just is such a good movie for all audiences. And yeah, probably if my cousin wasn't super annoying about his Monster Inc. obsession for a little bit. Okay, he wasn't that annoying. He was a little kid, you know, like it was kind of cute. But also at the same time, yeah, Finding Nemo, I just think it's a pretty good movie. Like if someone throws it on in the background, yeah, it's good. And there's a reason that it has like almost perfect scores on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. I don't have anything wrong with this movie. Whereas yeah, Monsters Inc. and Monsters University, yeah, I didn't really like the premise, but I think the idea of yeah, a clownfish being lost, like I think it's a good idea, and I really do like the father-son dynamic here. I think this is a great movie that pretty much anybody can relate to. Yeah, I don't relate to Monsters Inc. very much, and I just feel that like Finding Nemo, yeah, it's not really my type of movie, but but it is one that I felt a lot of emotions while watching, even though in the end I'm like, yeah, it's not a top tier movie for me. But yeah, I do think that is a very enjoyable film, and I don't think it is E tier worthy for me. So yeah, I think A tier. Yep, but we're gonna put Finding Nemo up in the A tier. Right next in the A tier is Incredibles 2. I get why people don't like this movie that much, but you know what? It's more Incredibles, more of the amazing music, more of the epicness, more of the good old Incredibles formula. And yeah, this one is a little bit more fun and vibrant than the original. The original definitely had some more like midlife crisis stuff, which I do like seeing that side of a superhero movie. I think that the Incredibles 1 has more for more. I think Incredibles 1 has a great story of getting through midlife crises and stuff. And I do like some of the things Incredibles 2 did. I like that Mr. Incredible ended up being the stay-home dad. It was an interesting dynamic, kind of funny to see. I do think that, in some ways I do think it's kind of annoying to see that Mr. Incredible's just like completely incompetent, but like it's kind of funny. I would like to see some more films where like there's actually like competent stay home dads, but you know what, it's okay. But I also do really like that Mrs. Incredible is like just being a bad A as she always is. So yeah, that's cool. And I think that the action in this movie is better than the original. I do think that there are some things that I do like. But yeah, one of the biggest problems here, there's too little Frozone. Not enough Honey, where's my super suit scenes. So I do think that this is a good movie, but it's not like my absolute favorite. I do think that the villains' motivations are goofy. I mean, I will say Syndrome's motivations are absolutely goofy too in Incredibles 1. Like, I'm not saying that's great, but at least Syndrome pulls it off better than the Screenslaver. I feel like the Screenslaver should have just been an evil, no twist villain, none of that stuff, just a straight up evil person. And I think it would have been a lot more interesting that way. And the twist was like so stupid. Like, why are you, I don't know. It just, other people explain it better than me. But yeah, that was a pretty bad twist villain. But I'm not saying this movie is perfect, but it's more Incredibles action. And yeah, I'm just glad we get to revisit this world, revisit these characters. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. There are a couple things I like better about it than the original, but not much more. But yeah, I just think it's still a pretty dang Pixar movie. All right, next in the A tier, we have Up. And Up is kind of a mixed bag for me, but not like a mixed bag, but like kind of just, I feel like it definitely had a bit more missed potential for it. But the first like 10 to 15 minutes of Up are like one of the best cinematic experiences of all time. It's perfect show don't tell, emotional stuff. Like at any age, I'm bound to cry while watching that. It's just so good. And then the rest of it is a fun adventure, but yet the rest of the movie is just not that good compared to, I'm not saying it's bad. By no means is it bad. Some people are like, oh, the first 15 minutes are the only good part of the movie. No, I don't think so. I love the relationship between our two lead characters here, but I don't think that, Up is not like absolutely a masterpiece to me or anything. I think that, those first minutes are the best thing that Pixar's ever made, in my opinion. Except maybe the Bing Bong death scene from Inside Out. Maybe that's better, but maybe. No, probably the beginning of Up, I think, is peak. Never mind. The beginning of Up is definitely the best thing Pixar's done. But yeah, I think it just lost some steam as the movie went on. But it's a great movie. It's a great little adventure flick with a great intro. But I do like some of the theories where, like it was all in his head or something, like all that stuff. Like I think there's a lot of good stuff surrounding this film. I also love the Rick Astley paradox that comes with this film. That's a stupid little meme. But yeah, I really like Up. So I would say, it has the highest highs Pixar's ever had, but the rest of the movie for me just didn't resonate with me as much. So I'm going to put it in the top of the A tier. So now we have 12 Pixar movies left. And we have 12 left, and there are 3 tiers left. So we're racing to the finish line here now. And now in the S tier, we have Turning Red. Now, I have a very specific explanation for why I enjoy this movie. Yes, I'm a 17-year-old boy. Should I like this movie? No, probably not. is it even a good coming of age film? No, it's trash. Like, in terms of like, yeah, it just does not show good lessons. Like, it is a bad movie and showing like she just absolutely disrespects her parents. And yet this, yeah, a 17-year-old boy liking this movie is kind of weird, I will admit. But there's one thing that elevates this movie into the S tier for me, and that is the main character's mom. My best friend's mom is practically copy pasted from this character. So the whole time, I am just in the back of the theater laughing my freaking arse off at how funny this woman is, because she's literally my best friend's mom. So I'm just guffawing. It's like the funniest movie ever to me. This movie is absolute garbage. I will admit, like, there's so many bad things about this movie. Like the twerking, oh, it's so bad. And she just treats her mom awfully. But there are just so many funny moments in this movie. And also the dad is absolute goated. Like, he's just an epic dad. So yeah, this is not a funny movie. Like, this is just a funny movie to me. I don't think it's good. It didn't really like resonate with me outside of the fact that it was like one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. But yeah, it felt relatable in a way. Like, if you knew my best friend's mom, you would probably think this is also a comedic match. Like, it's just hilarious. But yeah, this has a lot of bad lessons in it, but to me, this is just a guilty pleasure. Like, it's just funny. Like, and it's just such a goofy movie. Now, if any, like, when teenage girls treat their moms like this, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like, this is not, and obviously, I've never had a period or anything. I am a teenage guy. It's not like I understand. Like, I don't know how that really feels. I get from like, I think it does a decent job of kind of showing how the awkwardness of puberty and being like a 13-year-old and all that stuff. And I also do like some of the Asian lore. One of my best friends is also Asian, and he approves of the Asian lore, Asianness of it all. So yeah, I do like that. The weird kaiju battle. I also think that the boy band is absolutely hilarious, especially that song actually kind of slaps, to be honest. So yeah, I think there's just so many. This is such a goofy movie that I just enjoy watching it a lot. It's a great experience. As Sean Chandler would put it, my man, the guy who inspired me to make this channel, as Sean Chandler would put it, this is a Taco Bell movie for me. It's not good, but you know, this is just one of those like, yeah, I just think it's fun. So don't get me wrong. I don't really think this is actually better than any of the movies below it, but I just think it's funny. So yeah. All right, next we have Toy Story 3, which is a perfect conclusion to Andy's story. I'm about to leave for college, and yeah, watching this movie these days is just odd. It feels so weird to be watching this now when, you know, back in the day, I was just a kid watching it. Now I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, that's me. Like, my mom made me give away my stuffed animals. Like, this is literally me. This is happening to me in real time. And yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I don't like it as much as 2 or 4. Yeah, that probably is controversial. But I do think there's an amazing villain. I think the emotional sequence with the near-death scene of our toys is crazy. The emotional ending with Andy donating the toys, it's just so good. Like, there's so much amazing stuff here, but I will say the second act of this movie is just pretty weak in my opinion. I didn't really give a crap about it. So that is my one complaint that leaves it a little lower, but the third act of this movie is just untouchable. Like, it's kind of like Up for me, but instead of it being like, I don't know, 15 minutes of amazingness, it's more like half an hour, 40 minutes. So I think the third act of this movie is definitely peak, but I do think that overall the whole film experience wasn't as strong to me as the other Pixar, a lot of the other Pixar movies we still have left. And yep, there's going to be some controversial ones above Toy Story 3. And yeah, thank you for staying this far in the video, by the way, because some people would have been pissed off at me. Type 30 paragraphs in the comments and then just not watching it. But thank you for sticking here. Yeah, I do really like Toy Story 3. I relate to it quite a bit now, but I do think that, yeah, that middle act just wasn't too interesting to me, where they're just kind of hanging out at the daycare. That wasn't really. All right, Soul is going into the S tier. This is the most relatable Pixar movie for me because I am a musician. I have big dreams. I want to be like big on YouTube and all this stuff. So I do really like Soul. I resonate with it a lot. It's relatable, but it does have some issues. I mean, I really do just like the theming of the movie. Like, I've been working hard on my YouTube channel. This is my second YouTube channel, by the way. If you haven't uh, checked out my other one, it's RPG Ranked. I talk all about video games and stuff. So, yeah. But anyway, I really like working on YouTube stuff. I really like playing music and all this stuff. But it's just kind of hard to dream big and stuff in a world where, it's not always easy to do some of the hard stuff. It's hard to break through to the mainstream with that type of thing. So it really felt relatable to me. Also, the afterlife and the pre-existence do kind of resemble my religion in a lot of ways. So I think that did resonate with me as well. I did think that there were some great things about this movie, but there were also some things about this movie that made it ring hollow for me and make it not be quite an S plus or real tier movie for me. I think there's a little bit too much fish out of water stuff, goofiness. I would have liked to see more premortal stuff or more of the music passion side of the movie. I do think that the ending, letting him survive, was just awful. Like, that's a dumb ending. I would have loved to see him just accept the fact that, he made a difference in his life and it was time for him to go. And yeah, I thought that would have been so much better, but nope, that is not what we got. And yeah, that was kind of stupid. Like, if you just think about it, you're telling me this is the first guy ever to get a second chance. Like, we're not going to revive, like, anybody else. Like, this just doesn't seem right. The lore is just absolute cracks start to show there once you start digging deep in this film. This is one of the more, like, plot hole heavy Pixar movies. But it's one of those ones. It's an opposite of an E tier movie for me. I have a lot of issues with the movie, but it just resonated with me on a personal level, meaning that, I'm going to throw it up in the S tier. Do I think it is, again, kind of like Turning Red, kind of like Cars 2 and stuff? Yeah, is this one of the best Pixar movies? Yeah, probably not. But is it one of my favorites? Yeah, I guess Cars 2. Not really. But yeah, like Turning Red and Soul were just kind of relatable to me. I feel like S tier, these ones are not like perfect. They're definitely flawed, but they are definitely like super relatable to me. So yeah, I do really like Soul. All right, we're moving up now. We got another one in the S tier, and that is Toy Story 2. This is just a fun movie all around. I'd say it's the most fun of the Toy Story movies. It's just goofy. I love the introduction. I love the focus on Jessie. Jessie's one of my favorite characters. Yeah, this is just one of the most fun Pixar movies, if not the most fun Pixar movie to watch. Yeah, it's not nearly as emotional as 3 or 4, but it's just a fun adventure all the way around. Like, if Up was this fun throughout the runtime, maybe I would like Up even more than this one or something. But just the goofiness in the Al's Toy Barn scene, it's just fun. I love the setting of that. It's just crazy. I like that there's 2 plots going on. I think it's hilarious that the prospector thinks that sitting around in a museum would be more fun than being played with a kid. I think that's just weird. And I think this is overall just a very fun movie. Also, that scene where the dude paints Woody's boot is just like one of the most like satisfying scenes for no reason. It's like one of those like things you see at the gym and it's like, oh, these people are perfectly cutting something. How amazing. Or like perfectly painting in the lines. It's just like one of those satisfying scenes. Not that is determining that this is an S tier movie, but I just wanted to shout that out because weird stuff. But I really like the introduction of Jessie. I think this has one of the most fun action-packed third acts. This is great. Not my favorite Toy Story movie, though, and that's going to have to go to Toy Story 4, which I'm also throwing in the S tier. And this is probably very controversial. I mean, I feel like a lot of people say Toy Story 4 is their favorite. Not nearly as much as 2, 3, or 1, but there's still a good fan base out there for it. I just think it's a perfect ending to Woody's story. And really in the end, what I love so much about this movie is Gabby and the ending. I just love everything with Gabby. I like some of the New toys here with Forky being fun, Duke Nukem being absolutely gas. Bo Peep was cool. I thought she was just fun, and I think this is an amazing. To me, this has the emotional payoff of the third movie, not to the same degree, but still a good emotional end to it. But it also has more of the fun, like weird action that I like from the second movie. I like the carnival set piece a lot better than the daycare set piece of 3. I felt like I liked the second act of this movie way more than 3. I feel like it does a good, it balances what I love about 2 and 3. And yes, it does feel a little bit unnecessary. I do think that ending Woody's story here would be perfect. And yeah, I think it's a good ending to Woody's story. Now, the fact there's going to be a Toy Story 5, like, there were some some loose ends I would have liked to see with the end of Toy Story 3. There were some things like, yeah, I would like to see more of this. I would like to see how the toys move on and stuff. I have no idea what to expect from Toy Story 5. So, that might be one of those ones. For me, Toy Story 5 might end up being the Toy Story 4 to a lot of people. But I thought that this was a satisfying ending to Woody's story. And yeah, I think it's still a good movie. One of my favorite Pixar movies. Now, if someone says this is the worst Toy Story movie, yeah, I get it. It is a bit more unnecessary. I mean, in the end, if you really think about it, Toy Story 2 and 3 were also unnecessary after Toy Story 1. But I'm still super glad we got them because I like them way better than 1. So, that's just kind of how I feel about the Toy Story movie. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to put Toy Story 4 S tier. I just really like it. Yet another S tier. We have The Incredibles, which is just a fantastic superhero movie. It has like one of the best soundtracks of all time. Like the do 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 do. It's so good. And that other one, oh, what does this sound like? It was stuck in my head all day earlier today for some reason. And now I'm forgetting what it goes like. It's that amazing song though. Wait, how does it go? I gotta look this up. But anyway, this is one of the greatest scores. Incredibles music. Actually, I'm gonna text my brother what the name of the song is. Then we'll figure it out. But yeah, that song, the main song is so good. But there's this other song that just makes me love this movie even more. I'm gonna text my brother, and I'll tell you later in the video which one I meant. But yeah, anyway, the soundtrack in this movie is brilliant. This is just an amazing superhero movie. And I think what really makes it better than 2 for me is it's grounded in a lot of ways. The second one is kind of just over the top. I do like the just day-to-day life aspect of this one better than the goofy, embarrassing stay-home dad story. Like, I don't know. I would have loved to just see, yeah, I don't know. I do like there's just some things I do like better about this one. Syndrome is just way more iconic than Screenslaver. Yeah, I do think Syndrome also has like an absolutely stupid plot line, but it's still good here. Also, Frozone is just literally the best character in this movie. Like, just the best. He's so good. I love that dude. Yeah. I think Incredibles is just a great movie overall. It's super memorable, great music, and it just is more. Oh, what is the name? Okay, here's the name. Kronos Unveiled. Okay, let's see. I'm going to look it up and hum it really quick because this song is one of the greatest songs of all time in my of anything, not even just movies, just like one of the greatest songs. Let's see. I'm sure you big Pixar fans already know what this sounds like, but let's get it in here. We're figuring out. Hopefully you can hear that audio and it's not too bad. Okay, I'm gonna skip a little later. Oh yes. Oh yeah, it's the do 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 know. It's just one of the best songs. Dude, my bro is like, you can come in now, dude. Anyway, yeah, this is just a great movie. Like, that song is the best thing about this movie. But there's anyway, there's so many good things about this movie. It's just an amazing movie all around. The soundtrack is just perfect in every single way. Oh, and some of the crazy, like, looking at that folder and all that stuff, it's just so good. This film's actually pretty dark when you look back on it. Like, this is one of those films that's super action packed and fun as a kid, and it's just so good as an adult. So yeah, well, I guess for me, almost an adult. 17, pretty close. Even though 18 really is an adult, like, I'd say you have to be like 27. But anyway, unlike what they say in Turning Red, 13, I'm an adult, haha. Yeah, right. You act like a 2-year-old. Anyway, let's move on to my next movie on this list, which is going to be Elemental. Yeah, I love Elemental. And this one is one of those ones for me that does feel a little more like me. First of all, the blue dude is kind of just how I act half the time. Like, I really relate to the water guy in a lot of ways. And I just love rom-com type movies. And this one is just amazing. I also did like some of the themes of like immigration type stuff. And yeah, sure, the main conflict of like the water falling apart, like the dams or whatever. Yeah, that didn't really matter that much to me. But it's the way that the two lead characters bonded over fixing that problem and all that stuff that was just great. Also, people would say, oh, elements not mixing. They literally do in real life. And what I say to that is, yes, duh, of course. It's a allegory for like people not dating mixed and stuff. And I just think there's so much good about this movie. I love the family stories, just the cute romance, and it really was relatable to me. Yeah, I'm just a lot like the blue dude, and let's just say I like some girls who are kind of like the fire girl, so I just kind of relate to this movie on a level. Maybe a very interesting level, but I don't know. It's just a cute movie, and I really enjoyed this movie. Also, the animation is probably my favorite looking movie, best looking animated movie outside of freaking Spider-Verse and anime, because Japanese people always. So yeah, honestly, this Elemental, I just love this movie. Do I get why people don't? Sure, it's not anything too special, but also, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's so many. I do like the little themes there are to it. Also, that death scene of the water guy, I don't know, but that got me crying. And when he revived, it was the stupidest scene ever, but in like the greatest way. It was so fun. Like, I love that. Also, this is one of those movies that I need to have a sequel for. I need to see their like they're grown up a little bit, have some steam babies. That would be adorable. But yeah, I think that the chemistry is just so good. Like, tell me one good rom-com that's come out in years. Like, all the good rom-coms are from like the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, this is the first like rom-com that we've had in a while that doesn't suck. Like, there's just so many like random bad Netflix rom-coms that just failed to have anything charming about them. And then this movie comes along and it's just amazing. And I don't know, I just love this movie. If you don't like it, I get it. It is pretty simple. But it's kind of just, I love the simple Pixar movies that are just charming. And speaking of, yeah, same with Luca. Like, Luca is just another one for me that is basically the Elemental for me. It's kind of the same vibe. First of all, I work in an Italian restaurant, so I just like the Italian setting and stuff. And yeah, I guess I don't know why working in an Italian restaurant makes that relevant, but basically I do like my pasta, so I do love seeing some random pasta scenes in here. Okay, that's not why I like this movie though. I love the friendships between our main three characters. Also, Julia is probably my second favorite Pixar character. We'll get to my favorite soon, but probably my second favorite Pixar character. I just love her. She's adorable. Some of the things she says are just so off the chain, just crazy. But yeah, and I love how simple this movie is. Like Elemental's already a pretty simple movie, and then Luca's just about two friends who want a freaking Vespa, and that is just awesome. And the the sea creature vibe to it, yeah, it wasn't too necessary, but it was just cute. I loved. I don't know. The lore here was kind of fun, and Luca was just a charming, fun movie all around. It is probably my most rewatched Pixar movie. Yeah, this is just the easiest one for me to go back and watch. Like, it's not too emotional that I'm just like, okay, now I need to go to bed. But it's also like perfectly gripping enough. And this is another one I'd love to see a sequel for. I think this definitely has some potential for one. Really cute movie, and yeah, Julia is just the best. I could watch Luca, Alberto, and Julia forever. They're just so awesome. And yeah, I think that Luca and Alberto's relationship is just really relatable. Like, if you've ever had a friendship where it was strained for a little bit, like that. Sometimes that's just how it is. It's a coming of age slice of life fantasy fish out of water film, and it's just awesome. Like, it's just great. I mean, yeah, everything about it's awesome. Also, we get Silencio Bruno as one of three back-to-back Brunos of Disney. And yes, we don't talk about Bruno, that Bruno from Encanto, and then we get Luca Bruno, and then we get Bruno in freaking Miss Marvel. So apparently Bruno is just like this thing now. It's like the Final Fantasy Sid, although you probably are. Yeah, I don't know how many people understand that, but I guess Bruno's just the Sid of Pixar now. But or I guess we kind of have the Pizza Planet truck that shows up. So I guess that's probably like the Chocobo of Pixar. Anyway, I'm getting lost on this topic now. Anyway, what I have to say about Luca is it's adorable and I love it. It's just amazing. All right, next in the S plus tier, we have the newest Pixar movie, Inside Out 2. I love this movie. Yeah, it's just amazing. There are a lot of things I think it does better than the original. I like the faster pace. I like that Riley's more of a thing here. I like the new emotions. Ennui was hilarious. Joy was not insufferable as heck here. I mean, I know that she was kind of supposed to be insufferable in the first movie, but yeah, she's way better here. I like that the emotions are starting to kind of feel emotions, like anger and joy, just having moments where they aren't really like. I love how they're getting along better here. Anxiety, perfectly done. Ennui, yeah, I just love that because half the time I just don't give a frick about what's happening around me, and ennui is kind of relatable. Envy is adorable. I do think that she was not the best characterized, but the thing about this movie is not only does it have the heart of being able to convey teenage emotion way better than Turning Red. I also think it's much funnier than Turning Red, even after all that, what I said. Here is the reason this is my favorite Pixar movie of all time is in this movie, and that is my man, Lance Slashblade. If you don't know me and have not watched RPG Ranked, if you're coming off this not watching, if you're not coming from my other channel, I love RPGs, and this dude is just perfectly a stupid PS2 RPG character. I mean, I know he's from a fighting game, but let's be honest, he acts more like an RPG character. And he's all talking about his destiny and then disgust to just start simping over him and the Sigma Skibbity Ohio Riz. And forget I ever said that. That was awful. I swear, this is so funny. Yeah, this movie is just simultaneously one of the most emotional Pixar films, one of the most funny, and one of the greatest. I think it, for some reason, is missing a little bit of the magic of the original. Maybe it's just a little too awkward or something, or maybe, I don't know. I think that the original did have some more time for breathing room. I do feel like I did like how this is fast paced, but sometimes it's just too much. Like, everything was happening at once, and then everything is. But I do think that kind of shows how teenage life really is. Like, it's just crazy. And yeah, I do think that one thing that was, I think the hockey camp setting was definitely not as interesting as the moving to a new town thing, even though that is like a little overplayed. But and I just think Riley's a much better character in this than in the original, and all that stuff. So yeah, this is funnier than the original and all that. But there is one reason I like the original a little bit more, and that is just because it perfectly defines childhood and it does a better job of showing Riley. Like Riley's a much better character in Inside Out too, but I do love how it shows her islands and like her what defines her. I think the way Inside Out 2 kind of showed how she was defined was really cringe with I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm a great friend. Like, oh, it was insufferably cringe. I know it's like teenage growing up, but Inside Out, it did a much better job of like showing who she was, even though it did a worse job of. It was kind of like more of a good foundation, like telling us who she was, kind of, versus showing us who she. I don't know. It does a great job of showing us who Riley is, even though Riley isn't that interesting, if that makes any sense. It's definitely more of the emotion story here. And I do think that the best thing about this movie, though, is the idea taking joy and sadness on this arc and having Joy learn what really it means to not be the only emotion that matters and all that stuff. And this is just an amazing movie. Yeah, is it as funny as the second movie? Absolutely. Is it as I don't know, but the second movie was really relatable, but it wasn't as emotional. It was more it wasn't as like tear inducing type emotional. It's more like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking relatable. Like, oh, that is awful type emotional. Um, like Inside Out 2 did give us those good moments of like, sometimes when we grow up, we feel less joy. Like that really hit home. But I think Inside Out just did a great job of showing that childhood wonder. And yeah, this is one of my favorite Pixar movies. Also, yeah, Riley running away from home, that scene was just so sad. And the Bing Bong sacrifice scene had no right to be as depressing and sad as it was. It just kind of shows that, yeah, sometimes you just, when you grow up, you just lose some of those things that made you so happy as a kid. And that was played perfectly in Inside Out 2. Now, I think Inside Out was better paced than the second one. I think it also did a better job of character development. Whereas Inside Out 2, she kind of was just like, oh, I developed in this way. And the movie didn't really show it as well. But I think Inside Out just took joy on this perfect arc and all that stuff. Also, I think that there's just a lot of good stuff here. Yeah, I think Inside Out is just slightly better than Inside Out 2. I think Inside Out 2 is probably going to end up being more rewatchable for me because it's like hilarious and stuff. But Inside Out 1 just has an emotional wonder and stuff to it that just is unbeatable for Pixar. So, yeah. All right, and moving into the top tier, we are going my top 3 Pixar movies, and number 3 is going to be Coco. This movie is amazing. First of all, this is like the one good twist villain that Disney has ever done. Like the stealing the music, oh my gosh, and then seeing how that affects all these different characters throughout their whole time. That was brutal. Ernesto de la Cruz is definitely one of my favorite Disney villains. He's just crazy, unhinged. The Land of the Dead and all this, like this movie is just amazing looking. Like The Land of the Dead is amazing. It perfectly shows the beautiful holiday of Dia de los Muertos. It just comes together and it just is amazing. It's a beautiful movie. It really does kind of have the cultural flair to it. And it's great that we find like all those movies where Mexico is just showed as this place where it's like the yellow washed out background. I'm like, oh, like I've been to Mexico. It is nothing like that. This is like awesome. Like it just Coco, and I love music. And Soul does music well, but Coco just does it even better. And it's just a beautiful movie. It has the adventure vibe that I love with Pixar, the wonder to it, but also the emotions. And Hector and Coco at the end of the movie. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And yeah, it's just crazy to see this journey where our character loves music, but his family hates him for it. And just seeing that this iconic singer of this world this whole time was an evil man. And it's just awesome. I love Coco. But in second place, we've got Wall-E. And yep, now I guess there's a spoiler for what's first. But Wall-E is just an amazing movie in every way. It's just like perfect. It's one of those ones that maybe it's probably not as fun to watch for me as Coco or the Inside Out movies or Luca or Elemental, but I just respect this film so much. The sound design is perfect. The dystopian reality is unfortunately just like coming to pass in some ways. It's just perfect. There's not even dialogue for so much of the movie, and it's just amazing. The way it tackles AI, the robotics, the potential future of the human race, romance, like it literally is perfect. It does sci-fi better than any other of the sci-fi movies, like infinitely better than Lightyear. In some ways, it does romance even better than Elemental. It does more of like a traditional romance better. It's like actually just romance instead of Elemental's more like rom-com, where in like the third act they have to have the necessary scene where they hate each other for like 10 minutes. It all comes back and they have a happy ending. Like Wall-E just is a more nuanced film. That's really what Wall-E is, just a perfectly nuanced film that mixes everything together. And I would say this, yeah, definitely one of Pixar's most perfect films. Everything about it is just perfect. I think, in a way, yeah, it's a dystopian movie. It's a romance movie. It's a sci-fi movie. It's a horror movie because it's just so freaking scary that, yeah, this could actually happen to the human race. It's a great allegory. Like, this throws in everything. Wall-E is just a great movie, but there's one that I like more, and that is Ratatouille. This movie just slaps way too much. The fact that, like I'm almost crying just thinking about this one scene. Are you guys ready? The scene where it says, oh my gosh, anyone can cook. Oh, and we're not talking like, I mean, like, I don't know. Saying that sounds stupid as these days where everyone's just like, you cooked, bro, buffing. But like, this is amazing. The scene where Colette decides to stand by Remy and Linguini is marvelous. I love it. And as someone who, from the ripe age of 3, has always wanted to work at a restaurant, someone who does work at a restaurant right now, this is just perfect, and it's so awesome. And somehow this movie's able to tackle just so many random subplots and not have it suck like a lot of movies do. It's just a perfect slice of life movie in a restaurant with these characters, with big emotions, lots of fun. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's perfect. It's a perfect movie. And just even thinking about the anyone can cook scene just makes me, like, onions appear out of nowhere. They materialize near my eyeballs when that scene happens. It just is perfect oniony goodness. This movie is fantastic. I'm going to agree with Shea Frillis Productions and all those random people. This is, to me, the best Pixar movie, the magnum opus of Pixar. I think this is just a perfect movie. Yeah, I get it if people don't like this movie as much. Like, yeah, it is kind of goofy. It's about a rat who controls a dude and cooks, even though the dude has no idea how to cook. Like, it's so dumb. From a premise standpoint, yeah, it's stupid, but it's just an amazing movie. And that scene where the movie critic dude eats the ratatouille and it flashbacks, oh my gosh, just everything. And also that stupid villain that just sucks, but it's hilarious. He wants to start this like freezer food business on the side and is getting to like illicit business deals. Like, why did we have that subplot? And there's like a stupid like bike chase, but it's all in the dumb fun of the movie. Yeah, it's amazing. I love this movie, and yeah, I just always have liked cooking and stuff, and the anyone can cook just really hits home. it's like just saying that like anyone can fulfill their dreams, anyone can do things, no matter how weird you are, no matter if you're a rat or whatever. I mean, obviously, rats can't actually cook in real life, but also this is also the movie where a maniacal grandma just pulls out a shotgun and just shoots the room up. Like, let's just praise that for a second, that a Pixar movie has a grandma with a shotgun in it. Like, just think about that. Anyway, yeah, this is just amazing. Like, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, let's see. I'm going to pull up my movie ranking and tell you where this falls in just my movies in general, because this is just a great movie. One of my favorites. I can watch this movie any day of the week and probably cry just as much as always. And yeah, it's just so goofily amazing. It has a goofy premise. It should suck, but it doesn't. It just fantastic. So yeah, where does it fall on my favorite movies of all time? Probably like top 25. Let's see what the exact ranking heck of it all. It's not quite like top 10 or anything, but it's still up there for me. Let's see. Ratatouille. Okay, it is my 15th favorite film of all time. So yeah, that's pretty high. I freaking love Ratatouille. It's just an amazing movie. A great slice of life story. A great, just everything about it is amazing. All right, maybe I should stop saying all these things over and over and over again and just end this video. So thank you all for watching the first video over on this channel. Hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to check out RPG Ranked. I will have it in the end screen. If you like any video games, you'll probably like that channel. If you like my stupid ranty style, yeah, I'm sure you'll like that. Get a kick out of it. Be sure to like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. I'd love to get this second channel up and running a little more. So thank you all for watching this video and have a fantastic day. Peace out, movie and Pixar fans. See you in the next video.